So, sir, now we can start. Already 10:03 is there. Okay. So, dear participant, good morning and very happy good morning. And I am very happy today morning we are going to start our session with a great scientist, Professor Pawan Kumar Maurya, sir. Professor Pawan Kumar Maurya is a professor and head Department of Biotechnology, Central University of Haryana, Mahendragarh, and sir is also Dean School of Lifelong Learning, one school among the academic different academic schools. So, sir, on behalf of the HRDC Mizoram University, I welcome you in our HRDC FIB program, sir, and we are very happy today you are with us and you are ready to share your rich experience, research and teaching experience with our participants. So, as already you are aware that the FIB program is meant for the new faculty who recently joined the university system or college system to know the value of the teaching, research, and how they can make their profession, no, they can contribute to this profession. For that purpose, UGC started this FIP program. Earlier, it was known as the orientation program. So, with this small introduction, sir, I welcome you in this FIP program, and now handing over the session to you for your session is yours, sir.
Thank you, Professor Manoj. I'm audible, sir?
Yeah, you are audible, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, very good morning to one and all. Dear Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mizoram University, all the Dean, heads, and dear colleagues who are participating in today's program. So, I am going to share my PPTs. I hope it. PPTs are visible, sir.
Yeah, it is visible, sir. Now.
Okay. Thank you. So, myself, Pawan Maurya. I am working as a professor in Department of Biochemistry, as well as the Dean School of Lifelong Learning. And since this program is for the our newly recruited faculty members, so I would like to congratulate one and all who have joined this beautiful university. So just I would like to, because everybody is aware about the topic which I am going to cover today. But at the same time, this is also very, very important as a faculty member, because research and research methodology, it is always a top priority in every educational institutions or the research organizations. Even when we are going for the NAAC accreditation, they used to ask that how many publications university has produced, or how many projects we have, or how many patents we have granted. So one of the criteria 3, which is the major component for the NAAC accreditation as well, the research is very, very important in the universities. So today I'm going to cover few things which are very, very important: research and research methodology. So just this is the first slide. Just I am going to quote the Albert Einstein statement that if we knew what we were doing, it wouldn't be called research, would it? That means if you know that what you are going to do, it is not the research. It means, so if it is not the research, what research is? So I am going to cover these contents in our presentation. One is the research and research methodology, then the criteria for a good research process, then comes to very, very important component, mentor-trainee relationship, and what are the research publication ethics, peer review process, tools used in research methodology, and the problems encountered and possible solutions. So I am going to start the first terminology, that is called as the research. So what research is? It is wiser to find out than suppose. Many times we used to say that we supposed to do these things. So rather than, we used to wiser find out what new things are coming. So research is a continual search for truth with the help of study, investigations, observation, comparison, or using scientific methods. It means if we are going to discover a new thing, that is called as the research. Or in other words, Redman and Morey, they have explained that research is a systematized efforts to gain new knowledge. It means whatever efforts we are making, if that efforts is going to give us a new knowledge or new scientific study or new findings, then that is called as the research. At the same time, Clifford and Woody, they again tried to explain the term research, and they said that defining and redefining problems, formulating hypotheses or suggested solutions, collecting, organizing, and evaluating data, and testing conclusions for their fitness in hypothesis is called as the research. So that means overall, if we have some problem and we work on that some problem, and if we have a good results based on that, then we will say that, okay, this is the research. So we concluded that search for knowledge through objective and systematic method of finding solutions to a problem is research. So if you want to define research exactly is, so search for knowledge through objectives. That means we need to define the objectives, what we are going to perform. When I think everybody has written their thesis, and in thesis we'll clearly mention what are our objectives. Based on the objectives, we used to plan our methodology, and after adopting that methodology, we used to have some results, and based on that results, we are going to conclude something. So this process is referred to as research. So what is the difference between research methods and research methodology? Again, there are two terms, research methods and research methodology. They are not the same. So what research methods are? So research methods may be understood as all those methods or techniques that are used in planning and execution of research. It means whatever the objective we have taken, in order to execute those objectives, the methods which we are following or the techniques which we are using in order to execute that research, this is called as the research methods. It means whatever the instruments we are going to use, whatever methods or whatever the protocols we are going to use, they comes under research methods. Now we come to research methodology. So research methodology is a highly intellectual human activity used in investigation of nature and matter, and deals specifically with the manner in which data is collected, analyzed, and interpreted. It means research methodology is the whole sequence that also involves research methods. So in this, we are collecting the data. After collecting the data, we are analyzing the data. And after analyzing, we are doing the interpretation. And you know that research methods anybody can use. If we give the protocol, or we give the, okay, this is the protocol, these are techniques that you are going to use. Anybody can use to perform those experiments. But the results which we are obtaining after doing the research, we need to analyze. Then we need to interpret that data. And this can be done with the highly intellectual human activity. So the methods or the process we are adopting in analyzing or interpreting data is called as research methodology. And this was given by Dr. Dept. So that's why human beings are important, because their brain used to function very well, and at the same time they have the capacity to interpret the data. If after performing the experiment we have very good data, very good results are obtained, and if we are not able to interpret those data, then we are not able to publish those data in the journals, because we are not able to convince the reviewers. So that's why interpretation is very, very important. Many times we used to perform the experiments, they are not going in the direction which we believe. It doesn't mean that we are going in the wrong direction. We need to check our methodology again, and we need to execute again those experiments. If something different is coming, it means either some new data is coming, which is going to be maybe the path breaking things. We need to always check all the time that whatever data, whether negative or positive, we need to take into the consideration while interpreting the data. So a way to systematically solve the research problem comprising research methods along with the logics behind the methods we use in the context of our research study. So this is what research methods and research methodology is. So what will be the objectives and motivation behind research? Why we want to carry the research? Why everybody is talking about the research? So to portray accurately the characteristics of a particular individual, situation, or a group, or to determine the frequency with which something occurs or with which it is associated with something else, to identify the causal relationship between variables, to face the challenges in solving the unsolved problems, and to gain familiarity with the phenomena, to get intellectual joy of doing something creative work, and to be service to society, and to get respectability. So these are the some objectives which I believe that these are the objectives as well as the motivation behind research, because ultimately whatever research we are carrying out, it need to be good to the society, or it need to be of human mankind. Then only the research which we are doing will be beneficial. So what are the criteria for a good research? Means when we are going to perform, or when we are taking PhD students, or we are taking some dissertation students or some trainee. So we need to be, as a faculty member, we need to be very careful that what problems we are going to those students. So if you are talking about the criteria for the good results, clarity and relevance to the problem. It means whatever be the problem which you are going to give to your students must be relevant to the society, and it should be very, very clear. Otherwise, if there is some dilemma or some confusion, then we are not going to have a good results. So first of all, we need to choose a problem, and after choosing that problem, we need to see what is the relevance of that problem, what this problem is going to solve. whether it is the plants, whether it is the animals, whether it is the society, or whatever the research we are performing, we need to have clear cut in our minds. Researchability and reproducibility of the results. This is very, very important, that whatever research we are conducting, that research must be reproduced. Otherwise, what will happen if you are performing experiment one time and second time you are not going to get those results? Then accuracy is not good. That's why reproducibility of those results is again very important. Adequacy and relevance of the literature review. Before selecting those problems, we need to go to the literature review, and we need to see that the problem which we are selecting, how much it is available in the literature review or not. So again, this becomes very, very important part. Match between the purpose, design, and method. Means while selecting a problem, purpose must be designed, and for that purpose, whatever experiments or methods we are going to explain must be specific. So we need to keep it in our minds. Then suitability of sample procedure and the samples. The correctness of analytical procedures. Clarity of the findings. Whatever the findings we are getting, that must be very clear. So if we will keep these things in our mind while selecting a problem, I think it will help us in giving the problems to our students. So this is the stages of the research process. You can see, first of all, defining the problem. What problems we are going to select. Then, based on that problem, the planning, the research design, how we are going to execute that particular problem. What are the methods that can be used? What is the methodology that can be used? So we need to clearly define. Then planning a sample. From where you are going to get those samples? Whatever the problem you have taken into consideration, how you are going to solve that problem. Then after doing sample collection or planning a sample, gathering the data. Means after performing experiments or means we have some data. And once we have data in our hand, then the processing and analyzing the data. We need to have the analysis of the particular data. And based on that data, we used to formulating conclusion and preparing a report. So after preparing the report, again, we have, you may see that, okay, the research which we have performed is not up to the mark. Then what problems are left? Again, based on that problems, we used to go on. So this cycle will go on and go on. So just I'm giving you one example in the stage of the research processes. Since I am a biological scientist, so just I'm giving you one example from our experience which I have. So there is a disease that is called as endometriosis. So I went in Taiwan for my first postdoctoral fellow position, and over there I have given this problem that till today there is no specific marker that can be used for the diagnosis of endometriosis. It means this particular disease is not able to diagnose at early stage. And what happens in this particular disease? Since this disease is associated with female, so females become infertile. They are not able to conceive, and there is severe pain during their menses. So when I went to Taiwan, I was discussing with one of my professor, and he said that this is the problem. We are not able to diagnose this particular disease at early stage, because of which females become infertile and lot of tissue is deposited over ovary and fallopian tube. And because of the deposition of those tissues, the fusion of gametes will not take place. And when we used to diagnose this particular disease, it comes to the fourth stage or the last stage, and surgery is the only option. So he said that if we can design some methods or some markers that can help in the early diagnosis of that particular disease, then we are able to treat these female patients at early stage and they become fertile as well. So that means defining a problem. What problem is? The problem is that we don't have any specific marker which can able to diagnose the disease. Based on that problem, we have designed the methods. Okay, now this is the problem. Now we have to treat or we have to diagnose this particular disease early stage. So what we can do? So there are different, we have 54 scientists, they are sitting together. Somebody said, okay, I will work on a gene. Somebody said, I will work on a protein. Somebody said, I will see the environmental effects. Some statisticians are there. They said, okay, I'm going to look at the statistical point of view. So based on that, we have designed a set of experiments that we are going to perform. Then it comes to the samples. From where we will get the sample? So we have contacted a medical doctor who is a surgeon. And he said that, okay, I will give you the endometriosis tissue. While doing the surgery, we'll take out some tissue and of course I will provide you. So we have planned for the sample collection. And once we have the sample collection, then we used to go feed for different kind of, like I was working on the genomic aspect. They have given me responsibility to that, what are the genes that are involved in the particular disease. So I work on that. So for that, we need to have methods. Like we isolated the RNA, then extracted the DNA, then we work on the RT-PCR. So these are the biological things. I'm not, because I think the faculty members of different domains are sitting there. So I'm not going in detail that. Just I'm telling you that after obtaining those data, we analyzed. And right now, I think in a 3 or 4 years now, we reached to the clinical trial stage. And we have obtained some genes that can help in the early diagnosis of a disease. And if we are able to bring that chip in the market, just putting the serum sample or the plasma sample, they are able to diagnose whether the female is suffering from endometriosis or not. So we are able, if we are able to have early diagnosis, we have early treatment. So they need not to go for the surgery. That's why defining a problem, working on that problem, and relevance of that problem is very, very important. So I suggest that the faculty member choose that kind of the research that is have relevance in the society, or so that thing, I think it will be good enough. So this is I explained about the research and research methodology, and now it comes to the mentor. In the research, mentor is very, very important. As I told you, when I went to Taiwan, we have Professor Chai Rui Zheng. Even I still feel proud to be associated with him. And even today, because he has worked almost 35 to 40 years on endometriosis. And I was not aware about that particular disease when I start working. Now I am working in collaboration with him. So mentorship is very, very important. So learning from someone who wants you to grow. In its most basic form, mentoring is simply friendship with someone who is a little more experienced, who act as a guide in regards to a new career, profession, job, or development stage. It means selecting a mentor is very, very important. And when you have a mentor, you must have a friendly relationship with the mentor. Otherwise, what will happen? The results which you are getting, or which your students are getting now, because you all will be, I think many of you are already mentor, and many maybe becoming in 1 or 2 years. So now you have the PhD students, you have the dissertation students. So you will act in the position of a mentor. So this is very, very important to have a good relationship with your students. Means friendship relationship. Whatever results they used to get, they used to discuss. I always told to my students, now I have 7 PhD students who are working in my lab. So I always told them that please, whatever the data, whether negative, positive, or whatever data you are getting after performing the experiments, just discuss with us. It doesn't mean that you have gone through the literature and you are showing that, okay, this confounders or the values which are not falling in your expected results, you are just omitting that results and just you are bringing those data that fits or have a significance. No, because if even they are getting the opposite results, it doesn't mean he or she is wrong. This is you along with your student, you need to interpret those data. Why these are not coming, and even if it performed repeatedly. So, and like even myself, we have the mentors, and I always used to discuss with my gurus that okay, so, many times in the research, is very less difference between your students and yourself, because they are new, they have new ideas, they are performing experiments. Maybe I'm not aware about that. So when they will used to bring the results, then we used to go to the literature and we used to say that in order to interpret those data. So mentoring and mentor is very, very important. So there is in Hindi, there is a quote as well that we used to give more importance to our gurus. So Guru Govindo khade kake lagu paye, balihari Guru apne Govindiyo bataye. So the role of mentor is very, very important in our life. Even in our career growth, if we have a good colleagues with you, which we used to support, or they used to discuss the problems, I think your career enhancement, promotions, and everything goes very well and very fast. So what are the key components? Because now you all are mentors. So open communication and accessibility. You must be access with your students. They will not feel that they are getting afraid of coming in your office or coming to discuss the problems. You have to give an access to them, and you need to be available all the time. I mean, especially when we are in the office hours, or so. Even my scholars, many times they used to come very frequently in our offices just to discuss the problem. I said that anytime you can come, until I am not engaged in some official work, or anytime they can discuss. Goals and challenges. We need to provide them goals and challenges every time. Means when the students used to come, okay, what you have done this week, what your plans for the next week, all the results are coming, okay, perfectly fine. Even if they are not able to perform for a week because of some other reasons, it doesn't mean they are not going to do the good results. Means we need to be flexible. Passion and inspiration. As a mentor, this is very, very important to have passion. If you don't have passion, then in the research, I don't think that it will work. And the inspiration as well. Means you need to make yourself in such a way that the students would learn from you. Many times our students used to come and they said that, okay, we are not able to perform the experiments. We used to go in the lab, even nowadays, and we used to show the experiment how to perform. So punctuality is again very, very important. Means I have made this habit till today. I don't know what will be in the future, but if my office is at 9, I used to be in office at 9. I never used to late. Why? Because if I am punctual, my student used to learn that, okay, if sir is coming at 9, we have to reach by 9. And in research, time is not matter, because this is my habit that I used to come at this time. So, but flexibility to the students, because they sometimes they used to work at late night, so it's not possible to come at 9. So it's perfectly fine, but at least you should be act such a way that the student must be inspired from you. Caring personal relationships. You need to show the care to the students as well as a mentor. Many times they used to say that, okay, I have some work in my home, so let them allow to go. So, but at the time of work, they need to perform well. Mutual respect and trust. This is very, very important. Both the mentor and mentee, they must have a respect with each other and trust. Otherwise, whatever the experiment they are performing, it will be no use if there is no trust. Exchange of knowledge. As a mentor, if you have gone through some new kind of the research or new kind of the findings or new kind of the paper, you used to discuss with your students that, okay, this may be the problem, if anybody is able to select this particular problem or not. So I think getting updates, exchange of knowledge is very, very important. Independence and collaboration. Nowadays, this is very, very important to have independence research, and the collaboration is very, very important. Several times we don't have instrument in our department, then we need to collaborate with other departments, even other institutions as well. So this is again very, very important. And role modeling. Role modeling means you need to behave in such a way that students, as I told you earlier, they must be inspired with you. The passion which you are showing, the student must get those passion. So since you all are mentors now, so you have to act in such a way that they must feel that, okay, I have very good mentors. So these are the mentors and trainees. And so as I told you, mentor, the person who educate trainee about research. And the possible mentors include a student advisor, other faculty members, lab director, postdoctoral fellows, advanced students, and other colleagues from your discipline. They may act as a mentor. Like for the PhD students, postdoctoral is a mentor. For trainee students, PhD student is a mentor. So likewise, means the person who educates the trainee about the research. And what trainees are? The person who is learning about research. Mentor is educating the trainee, but trainee is learning about the research. The possible trainee include students, postdoctoral fellow, new employees, or the people who are learning new or advanced methods. So mentor-mentee relationship, as I earlier told you in the pictorial diagram, a mutual dependent interaction in which power is unequally distributed. There is a great potential for abuse unless both parties remains aware of the need for respect. Between mentor and trainee, there must be respect. Model appropriate behavior. Both need to show a good behavior in themselves. Demonstrate reasoning for action and decisions, especially under specific circumstances. Provide explicit coaching. Introduction to large professional network. So these are some relationship between mentor and trainee. So the first we have already explained, research methodology, then the role of the mentors. Now the type of the research publications. Everybody is aware about different kind of publications. Many times we have popular articles in magazine and newspapers. We have meeting abstracts, papers in conference and proceedings. Besides that, generally in normal routine, we have scholarly and academic publications in the form of research articles, review articles, research reports, research thesis. Besides this, several other categories depending on the general, like editorial we have, then we have some short communications as well. So there are different kind of the research publications depending on the type of publication. We used to select those things. So besides research, another very, very important term that is research known as research publication ethics. To be a good mentor, to be a good person, to be a good researcher, we must have research publication ethics in our mind. scientific misconduct. Nowadays, many people are talking about this, and many government bodies also emphasizing on research publication ethics. So scientific misconduct means fabrication, falsification, plagiarism, or other practices that seriously deviate from those that are commonly accepted within scientific communities for proposing, conducting, or reporting research. It means we need to be very careful that scientific misconduct never happen in your life. So what scientific misconduct is? Lack of knowledge about research and publication. That's why when we used to enter in the research area, we must have knowledge about research and publications. Multidisciplinary and global collaboration tending to have multiple co-authors. This may be the reason of misconduct. Means many times you are performing some research and you need some collaborations, and you can see in the publication list there are so many co-authors. It doesn't mean that they are not working good. They are working good. But sometimes if you're one of the co-author have fabricated some data or falsified some data and it goes into the publication, you will also be responsible for that. So this may be a reason for the misconduct. Increasing pressure on researchers to publish. Every organization and universities, other research organizations, the researchers have a pressure to publish. Now, University Grant Commission have given some relaxation in this, that even without any paper, the student able to submit their, his or her thesis. It doesn't mean that we should not publish. Rather, we should go for the quality publications. So you can see in scientific misconduct for early career researchers, gaining monetary benefits. Several universities have that, okay, if you publish one paper, you will get this monetary benefit. So they used to publish more and more. That may lead to have some misconduct as well. Fear of blame, language differences, poor illustration skills. So these are the problems which are faced by the early career researchers. So they need to keep in their mind that we should be away from research misconduct. Just you can see the table. They adopted in Sen Gupta hand over in 2017. Approval and consent. Do we have approval of the relevant regulatory authorities? Institutional Review Board and Ethics Committee? Have you registered your clinical trial? It means if anybody is working on human subjects, there is regulatory body, that is Institutional Ethics Committee. So before performing any experiment related to humans, that must be cleared from these Human Ethics Committee many times, and some have Animal Ethics Committee. Besides that, if we are using some hazardous microorganisms or we are using some GMOs, then we have Biosafety Committee, that is regulated by DBT. So just I am telling you, without taking the approval from these regulatory bodies, we should not start our research. Once we have the, if we are going for this kind of the research, then we must have the approval and the consent from the regulatory bodies. So we must keep in mind that this is very, very important. Data accuracy, falsification and fabrication. Is there manipulation of material, equipment, process or data? Have you double checked data for accuracy? That's why I'm telling you, if somebody is perform experiment 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and if the results are good enough or the accuracy is good and precision is good, then we say that, okay, the data is good. Otherwise, if we are getting inaccurate results every time we are performing the experiment, that means our experiment not good enough. So we need to be very careful. Plagiarism and self-plagiarism. Again, have you used your own prior work or copied other works? If so, you cited this correctly? Do you have written permission for reproduce material, figures or tables? So this plagiarism becomes very common nowadays, but we have the softwares now in order to detect the plagiarism. So before submitting your research to any journal, please check the plagiarism status first, then move ahead. So this is very important. Submission fraud. Many times, in order to get the publication at a faster rate, same manuscript is communicated to three journals, and they said that from which journal we will have acceptance, and then we will take out from other. No, this is wrong. We must submit one manuscript only one journal. If it is accepted, it's fine. If it is rejected, we need to go for the another journal. So submission fraud, we need to keep in mind. Ethics of authorships. Many times there's a conflict between the authors as well. So better to take consent before submitting your manuscript to any journal. Have a consent from your co-authors that, okay, this is the authorship, this will come first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and so on. So until unless you don't have those things in writing, it will be very difficult if any author have any conflict. Then conflict of interest. Have you declared relevant interest and relationship that could be seen as influencing your findings? That's why every journal have one statement of conflict of interest, that when we are submitting, there's no conflict of interest. If you have, you need to disclose that. So these are the ethical issues in publications that we need to keep on mind. So I think it is very clear that regulatory bodies are there. We need to check that whether your research which you are going to perform is falling under those bodies. If yes, please take the approval. Data accuracy, please repeat the experiments again and again. If you have same kind of the data you are getting, it's fine. Don't falsify or fabricate the data. Check the plagiarism status. See the submission fraud, ethics of authorship, and conflict of interest. So I believe that these things will help you in publications. So I have already explained you. These are the most of the common, like fabrication, not only producing data, but also including the description and non-performed experiments. Falsification, using fake or unrelated differences. Many times they used to cite. Removing data irregularly to make it more convenienceable. So that's why these things, as a researcher, I think everybody knows. Just I'm giving you one more time some thing that since most of the faculties are new, so these things need to be kept in our mind. So ethics in peer review. So peer review depends on independent review of publications by expert blind peer review process. And before accepting any paper for review, the reviewer should state any conflict of interest with the authors. Means if any paper comes to you and you can see that you are the reviewer of that particular paper, so see, is there any conflict of interest? If yes, please decline. Set standards of scientific knowledge and behavior. While reviewing the manuscript, please maintain the standards as per the scientific knowledge. Should understand and hypothesize underlying the work and familiar work with model system and methods used in the publication. Be confidential. Don't disclose that, okay, this paper comes to you if it is your friends. Even if you are reviewing that, and if there is no conflict of interest, please be confidential. Able to write a good critique. As a reviewer, you must be a good critic, that the data which are written in the manuscript must be accurate, readable, helpful to editors and the authors. So that's why while giving the comments to any publication which comes to you as a reviewer, please be critical so that it will help in the improvement of the research. This is the only purpose that the paper need to be sent to 3 reviewers, 4 reviewers, 5 reviewers. So it depends on the journal. So tool to enhance publication efficiency means when you are writing your manuscript, what are the tools? Reference management tool. I think most of you are aware. There are so many tools that are available. I am going to discuss in a while. General selection tools. How you select a journal based on your findings which you have obtained. Plagiarism detection tools. So that's why earlier days there was no plagiarism. Most of the manuscript that generally people used to send, they don't, since no software was available, so they are not able to detect the plagiarism. Nowadays softwares are available, so very quick they are able to detect that okay, this much percentage of plagiarism is there, so authors may be able to remove that one. So these tools will help you to enhance publication efficiency. Reference. So referencing is the practice of acknowledging in your own writing the intellectual work of others, work that has been presented in some way into the public domain. Everybody knows about this. Reference list contains only the items read and specifically cited in the text. That is called the reference list. Bibliography is a list of everything you read in preparation for writing an assignment, whether you found them worth citing in the text or not. That is called the bibliography. And referencing is the method used by the researchers to demonstrate that they have conducted a thorough and appropriate literature search and reading following a referencing style. There are many types of the referencing style. I think everybody knows MLA type, MPA type, CMAC, Chicago type. So these are the different terminology. I think everybody is aware about this. So need for referencing. Why we need for referencing? To accurate referencing reflects good academic practice and enhance the presentation of your work. It shows that your writing is based on knowledge and informed by appropriate academic reading. It means that's why referencing becomes very, very important. If anybody used to see your manuscript, if year is at the end, every reference have year at the end. Volume and in the mid. Page number before that is fine. Or sometimes year after the author's list is fine. So that, but you need to adopt one. That while observing the references, the reader which is reading your manuscript is very clear that okay, if you want to see that this paper is produced which year, immediately he go to that point. You need referencing to ensure that anyone reading your work can trace the source you have used in the development of your work, and you can give you due credit for your research efforts and quality. And if you do not acknowledge another author's work or ideas, you could be accused of plagiarism. It means if you are citing some work from any other authors, please cite them. Even if there is one sentence you are taking from someone, please cite their reference. Then that author will not be annoyed and it will not be detected in the plagiarism as well. So this is very, very important. That's why we need referencing. Generally, we used to do at the end of the manuscript. What to reference? What we can cite in a reference? Book and chapters of the book, article from the journals or the newspaper, paper presented at the conference, reports, notes supplied by a lecturer, legal documents, internet source, DVD, CD database, radio, television, video, audio cassettes, interview transcripts, illustrations, work of art and design. So these are the categories. It is available in the web as well. So these we are able to cite. And criteria for choosing reference. How can you choose the reference, that which reference we need to cite in our manuscript? Relevance. This is very, very important, that the work which you are doing or when you are writing manuscript, that must be relevant to your research work. Otherwise, citing those reference, that many times they used to have self-citations. Many researchers used to do this. It means they used to self-cite, but that is not that much relevant, but still they are citing in order to increase the citations. No. If you are citing or selecting or choosing any reference, that must be relevance to that particular research. To what extent this source relevant? Is the information provided a partial or restricted view of the subject? Are counter argument presented and treated with respect? So we need to see the relevance. Current status. When was the source published? Are there revised editions? So while citing that particular reference, please check that many times in the books, if you have one editor, another editor, it is revised. So you need to check that you need to cite the current status. That's why many times even the reviewers, when they used to review, they used to say that cite new references or the recent references, because if that work has been done 20 years before, maybe many new things are coming nowadays. So we need to have latest references. Authority. Is the source of authority credible? Do other authors refer this source? This is again very, very important. It doesn't mean that any journal which is published from some village or something like that, we need to cite that. If until unless it don't have credibility, please don't cite. Scope. How general or particular are the ideas, models, practice described? So these things, if we'll keep in our mind while selecting or choosing the references, I think it will be good for the reviewers as well once they will see your references. Reference management software. So there are several reference management software that are available. Some are paid, some are freely available. Just I'm going to give you some glimpse over here. I think most of you are aware. Like we have RefWorks, InNote, Zotero, Mendeley. So these are certain softwares that are available, generally which we used as a tool to do our referencing. You can see the InNote, then Mendeley and Zotero. Some cost is available in the InNote. I think most of the people are using nowadays. Mendeley they are also using. They have the space of 2 GB. Then Zotero 300 MB. So this is just a comparison between these kind of softwares, but they are very, very useful. Earlier, when we are doing our research, at that time, InNote was very costly. So generally, we used to do the referencing manually. So writing one manuscript, sometimes if it gets rejected and we need to change the references, it takes 1.5 days just to arrange the references. And nowadays, because of these softwares, just in one click, you are going to change the whole references. So benefits of reference management tools: managing a list of references or citation quite easily and effectively, and thereby save time. Organizing the citation and making them accessible by the managing information while researching, saving precious time, as I told you. So in one click, change to different journal format immediately. So this is the beauty of these softwares, and I think most of the faculty members have the knowledge of these tools, and if not, please have the access of these tools. They are really very, very benefit, and they make the work so easy as far as the reference styles are concerned. How to select a journal for your paper? Many times we used to search that, okay, now manuscript is ready. How to select a journal? Is there a match between the subject of your article and journal's aim and scope? What is the readership and target audience? Is the journal highly visible? What is the journal's turnout time? So you need to keep these things in your mind. But besides these things, the practical approach is that if your organization or your institution is many papers, they are very good journals, but they are charging APC charges, article processing charge. So if the funds are not available, please don't go for those journals. First, select those journals which have both things, open access and subscription. So always select subscription mode, then you need not to pay any fee for that. And there are so many good journals which are in the subscription. So please don't choose open access until unless your institution or your project allow you to pay that APC charges, because APC charges are very high. And then see the impact factor of those journals, how good they are. And first you need to select that whether they belongs to your scope of the journal or not. So these are the few points by selecting the journals. Then checklist for journal selection. As I already told you that depending on the journals, we need to go through the author's guideline. sometimes they used to specify as well that abstract is up to 250 words or 200 words. Abstract may be means in a single paragraph. Many times they used to say, no, you need to write about the scope, objectives, methodology, conclusion. So you need to redefine that. Many times they have the manuscript numbers as well, 5,000 words only or 2,000 words only. So before selecting those journals, you need to check these things in the author guidelines before proceeding for the submission. There are some tools that used to select journals. I will share these things. Then the plagiarism and its detection tool. I think once you will write your manuscript, please, there are certain tools like Turnitin, Authenticate, Plague Scan, Grammarly, Urkund. So these are the certain softwares that are used for the detection of plagiarism. And once you will upload your manuscript, they will show you that, okay, this much percentage of plagiarism is there in your paper. So please remove that plagiarism before communicating to that. So these tools are available. Turnitin, sometimes they have the to purchase, the institution used to purchase, and they used to give the access to you. So based on that, you are able to detect the plagiarism. So before submission, please have look at the plagiarism status. And UGC has set the limit for plagiarism for thesis or papers, etc. For submission to the most of journals, the plagiarism should be less than 10%. And the role of Indian organization to overcome the scientific misconduct. For that, I think every university has adopted the mandatory course on research ethics in PhD coursework. And that was defined by University Grant Commission. And they have made it mandatory that it must be included in coursework. It is 2-credit course. So the organizations are also trying hard to remove these kind of practices which are available in the institutions. So challenges encountered by Indian researchers: lack of scientific training in methodology, overlapping research studies, secondary sources of data are not timely available, lack of knowledge on research ethics, insufficient interaction between interdisciplinary department, lack of network on resource sharing within as well between the institutions. So these are the challenges. Besides that, the major challenges which is facing is the funding. So now the funding bodies are very, very critical in giving the funds, and which researchers are facing. So I believe once we have a good project, the funding agencies will definitely fund your project. And the possible solution to overcome the challenges: choosing right topic and methods with motivation, with ensuring the integrity of the research process. Increased network of institutions and scientific staff for extended collaboration. Several times, if we are not able to have that facility available here, please send your student to other institutions. They can go and perform the experiment and come back to your institution again. Increase awareness on copyright and patent rights. Appropriate strategies for developed technology transfer. Nowadays, most of the companies, they are talking about the technology transfer. What were the techniques you are adopted, whether it can be commercialized or not. Timely publication of secondary data. Participatory action research via industry academia collaboration. Nowadays, in even NEP 2020, you have heard that they are talking about the academic and industry collaboration in order to enrich our research. Emphasis on funding scheme such as Brain Grant program of Government of India to internationally acclaimed researchers. So all of us do not have equal talent, but all of us have equal opportunity to develop our talent. With the help of research, I believe that we are able to do this, and we are able to have good research applications. So this is all from my side. I believe that I am able to communicate a little bit to you, since you are all our colleagues. So generally, when you used to perform the research and everything, we need to keep in our mind that these things can be done. So over to you, Dr. Manoj, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for your nice presentation and giving an overview about the research ethics and the way how we can publish the good research paper and what are the important tools nowadays, the common importance tools, which is very much useful for the a good research. So thank you so much, sir, for sharing your expertise and your sparing your time with our participant. With this, sir, my office actually, sir, the practice is that after this program will over on 28th, they will contact you for the official formalities. With this, once again, thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So.
So, may I leave the meeting?
Yeah, sir. Now you can leave, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, dear colleagues, which are available. And anytime, just I would like to say that Central University of Haryana is open, and we warmly receive all the researchers. Since I am heading the Department of Biochemistry and also looking for the vocational program in our universities. So anytime, please most welcome to write mails to us or the call us. We will able to help, and we will